but also around the world to do more for your employees. Some of the loudest calls, I think, are saying, look, just make these drivers, these contractors, employees. Dara, what are your own drivers telling you? Do the majority of them want to be employees of Uber?
No, they don't. So the employee independent contractor system is outdated and was built for the last 200, 300 years of work. Our drivers are their own CEOs.
Stop. Our drivers are their own CEOs. See, this is where the lie starts. They're comparing on the one side employees, on the other side independent contractors. He's selling it to you as if you are the CEO. Listen, if you are the CEO of your own company, if you are a true independent contractor, you set your rates, right? You have everything there, just like a private limo driver does, your own company, your own LLC, own decisions, decide when and where you want to work, on what day you want to work, how you want to set the rates, how you want to charge your passengers, right? What marketing. You are not your own CEO. So this is exactly, precisely where the Uber CEO lies start.
Their own bosses. They make their own hours. They decide when they're going to take vacation, when they're not going to take vacation. They do not want to be employees who have to check in, clock out the traditional way. And they love the control that they have. And if they work hard and they do well, they make more. And they can make the trade-off between earnings and flexibility. Now, what we recognize is that independent work has to get to the next step and has to have the kinds of protections that employees have. Healthcare protections, accident protections, minimum earnings, and those kinds of protections. So actually what we're proposing is what we call an IC plus model, where you
IC plus model.
Of work, and at the same time you get some of the benefits associated with full-time work without the responsibilities and the restrictions.
Okay, second lie. IC, independent contractor plus model. That's what they are recommending. So they're basically selling you on the fact that you are a true independent contractor, IC, and now you're getting additional, plus, IC plus. The biggest lie, right? What California, what Uber, Lyft, and the gig companies need to do is to come together, right? Find this hybrid. He sells it to you as the third way, but he's selling a lie, because his starting point is you are already an independent contractor. You're not your own CEO. You're not your own boss. They dictate and write the rates and the formulas for you. 49 states, definitely, and half-assed job in California, right? You're sort of like a 1/3 to 1/2 independent contractor. And I want drivers to understand this. Before this video continues, we're going to hear him out, right? All 3 minutes he's going to get his say. But you are buying into the fact that you believe you are a true independent contractor. You want to know what a true independent contractor is? Have a conversation with me, right? That is an individual that runs his own company, who's truly his own CEO, and sets his own rates. I happen to do that with my private company, with my limo company. But I want to tell drivers that the lie sold to you, that you are a true independent contractor, is just absolutely not true. Now, California needs to understand that maybe the majority don't want to be employees, right? Would I want to be an employee for them? Absolutely not. I understand that. I'm with you on that. I'm 100% behind you on that. So what California, what Javier Becerra, what the California Labor Department need to know, and all the other California politicians, is that you guys need to figure out a way that you move the drivers towards independent, true independent contractor status with some benefits. And like he says, the laws have to change. That's the only line he is right on, right? Is that the laws have to change. But the way they can change, and the only way they can change, is if all three parties write those laws together. What do the drivers want? What does the state want out of this? And what does Uber, Lyft, and other gig companies want out of it? So some sides may have to compromise a little bit, but it has to be a win-win-win deal, right? Because what they are selling you on right now, the California resident, the California voter has to subsidize. They have to carry all that burden for Uber and Lyft, right? All the monies that they are not paying in. Last 5 years, $413 million. The California taxpayer is covering them, is stepping in for you during the pandemic. That is not a true independent, as he calls it, your own CEO. BS. You need a safety net. He, as a CEO, has a safety net, a big one, right? So let's continue.
So we put that forward to California voters in Prop 22. 71% of our driver base do not want to be employees, and we don't think going backwards 200, 300 years is an answer.
Yeah, it's interesting. You wrote an article, an op-ed for the New York Times talking about this third way, that gig economy companies should put cash into a fund that can be used for these kind of benefits and protections, but the workers get to choose effectively how they can spend the money. I mean, you did the maths and you said in 50 states in the United States you would have contributed $655 million to benefit funds alone. Dara, why can't we get to that point?
Well, we need the legal framework to get to that point. We need the law to get to that point. Right now, the law is very strict in terms of employment or independent contractor. And in a twisted way, the more help you offer independent contractors who are using your system, the more legally you look, at least from the legal system, like an employer. So companies today, based on laws today, are incentivized to do very little for their independent contractors for fear of reprisal in the courts. And what we think should happen is, let's change the system clearly. Gig work, technology-based earnings opportunities, it's a new thing. So let's build laws for the new thing, and let's make it better for those, folks who choose gig work, so that they get earnings opportunities and they have flexibility as to how they want to use benefits. So the majority of our drivers.
Okay. Earning possibilities, right? Right now, and sadly the other 49 states are not experiencing this. We're fighting for this, obviously. Here in California right now, you have a thing called a multiplier. For the very, very first time, you can sort of semi-set your own rates. Specifically in peak times, Friday, Saturday nights, it's obviously super high demand. You up the price with the multiplier and you're making more money. Drivers right now are making more money. What I'm looking for is a commitment, right? Because if he's using this word independent contractor so loosely, why don't you tell us, Dara, what you are committing to? Because what you are committing to under yes on 22 could possibly be even worse than what you were earning at the end of 2019 when the pandemic was not around, right? Can you commit to a time frame and say, California, we will leave the multiplier, we will let you be more independent, we will allow you to choose your trips, right? On the other side, Attorney General Javier Becerra, can you commit to cutting a new deal, a hybrid law, not what he calls the third way? This is not the right way, the third way. The third way is going to take you back to earnings that are sort of like 2019. No, Dara, needs to commit to all the ways he believes a driver is truly, truly independent, right? Multiplier, setting your own rates, not being retaliated against, choosing your trips, being able to accept and decline. And at the same time, if he's talking about the $650 million, right, that he would have raised through his way, make that same commitment to all states, not double standards, Dara, right? I want to see that for Vegas drivers, for Tampa drivers, for New York drivers. Make the commitment that the drivers can set their own rates and become independent. Make the drivers for all 50 states be able to accept the fares that they want to choose and not have to fear, right? A CEO or an independent contractor should not, a true independent contractor should not have to fear that he'll get retaliated and deactivated, right? And at the same time, listen up, California. Listen up, Attorney General Javier Becerra. Get out of your stubborn mode, right? And create what he says these new laws. But not laws that he thinks are tailored to their needs. Not laws that he believes benefit them and not the driver. You guys need to have all three parties. I have been pushing relentless for this for 2 years, right? Some people say, well, my gig hybrid way is the third way. BS. My hybrid way, my suggestion that I'm giving you is not the third way. This third way is not going to work because you will never, ever be a true independent contractor. What they're committing to now, listen carefully, is that you will earn the minimum wage or 120% of the minimum wage. That's what they are committing to. That's $13 and some cents, maybe $14. People right now with the multiplier are making $30 to $40 an hour. Not lying, right now, right? Sort of 75% independent. That's what they're making right now. 2019, you may be making $20 to $25 per hour, right? What you are signing off here on Yes on 22 is to go to the minimum, right? That's what they're committing to, 120% of minimum wage. And a couple of little bonus dollars thrown in there, which don't add up to a safety net, which don't give you a voice at the table where you are still controlled. And drivers need to understand this. And voters in California need to understand the following. It's 20.9 million of us. So much power, right? They conduct their own surveys and say, well, you know, stats are in our favors and 70% of the drivers want this and the Californians want this. No, they haven't decided. They don't decide for the Californians. What I'm telling the California voter is the following, and we're going to go straight back to the video after this, is that you are currently bailing them out. They are not paying anything into the system. Your taxes are going up, right? So don't allow the gig companies to fool you with a yes on 22. You have to stand together and vote no on 22 to put the pressure on them, to put the pressure on California so that they truly do come together and write new laws, what I call hybrid laws. Right, let's continue.
Actually have healthcare already, either through a spouse, a family member, or through some other means. So for example, they may want to use it to take paid time off. They may want to use it for sick leave, etc. What we're proposing is flexibility in the way you work and flexibility in the way that you use benefits that accrue to you.
Okay, right, and not shooting his whole speech down. I'm not doing that, right? I'm not saying, hey, Dara, you're 100% wrong. I'm not saying that, right? What I like in this sort of proposal that he's putting out there, let me just get rid of that one. I apologize. What I like is that he says the laws have to be rewritten. Uber's CEO, let's change the system on gig work. Let's truly change the system on gig work. Those are your words, right? So I quote him today, right, September the 9th. Uber CEO Dara says, independent work has to get to the next step and has to have the kinds of protections that employees have. He argues the law has to change in order to make that happen. Face value, that statement is 100% correct. The problem is, these are not the words that Uber governs by. These are not the words that Uber plays by. They love using that word independent, right? So what you guys need to do, what this character over here needs to do, right? There's a lot of arrows pointing on him, pressure on this guy. You need to say to the California politicians, legislators, to the Attorney General, how do we write these new laws, right? How do we push drivers towards true independent contractors with employee benefits, right? Because this is a whole new gig law, ladies and gentlemen, what I call a hybrid law, right? Where we pay into the system, where California voters don't have to bail out the gig companies, right? Because Uber and Lyft are actually paying something into the system. What the system has lost out on, the unemployment fund has lost out on, is $413 million. That is why Attorney General in California are pissed. They're not seeing money. And these guys all have their accounts offshore, in Ireland, in Guernsey, in Liechtenstein, in all these offshore accounts. So they're not paying any taxes here. All they're doing is showing loss after loss after loss, subsidizing, discounting trips. No intention to really make the money, but intention is to drive out the competition, to kill the competition. That's another whole story that the California voters need to understand. So you cannot stand for that, right? Vote no on Proposition 22. And Dara, all I can say is, if these are your words and you mean this, live up to it. And Attorney General in California, listen to these words and get together and do take that next step. Move us, the drivers, towards true independence. Everybody's going to win. Move us towards a system that pays in for the state, for the drivers, so we can truly, once and for all, not this yes on Proposition 22 BS, right? But this next step, new laws that you guys hash out together, so we truly, truly create a win-win-win situation. Thank you. Your feedback, please.